I wanted to be happy. And I knew deep down that this way I was living was not leading to any happiness, but to separation and disconnection. When we feel disconnected, we are not happy. I want to be happy.
Ana Arabe is a mindfulness teacher, trainer, and cancer survivor.
If you are suffering now, please don't feel you failed. Because there was the temptation to feel, oh, my body has failed me, or I have failed to myself. It's a stage for positive change.
You actually chose to deal with it. Like you chose to go, what can I do to make my situation better? What can I control? And he took actual action.
I knew change was part of the healing process, so I wanted change.
Hello, everyone. I am so thrilled to share today's conversation with a dear colleague from all the way in Spain. My guest is Ana Arabe, and she's the founder of Eustress and the Way of Nature Spain. She's a certified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher at the Nirakara Mindfulness Institute. Join us as we explore her healing journey, her views on stress, the good stress, the not so good stress, on suffering, transformation, mindfulness, and the role that nature plays in healing. Anna, warm welcome to you to the Pause to Elevate podcast. Welcome.
Muchas gracias, Kasim. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so
Good
much.
morning.
Good morning to us. Good evening to you, like across time zones. Thank you so much for making this work. There's so many things that I'd love to ask you because you have really exemplified what it means to be living the practice of mindfulness, what it means to be going through a healing journey. So I wonder if we begin with, like, what led you to your own healing journey? Where did it begin?
Oh, Kasim, what a question to begin with. So I love to say that it just happened naturally. You know that one day I woke up and I decided to change and lead a life that was more in line with my values, but
Hmm.
it wasn't that way.
Right.
It was more like I felt quite disconnected to my body. I was very stressed. Actually, I was running a quite successful career,
Hmm.
and from the outside, I had a good life. Like a nice husband, two children,
Hmm.
and I was doing something I really liked. I was leading projects in the telecom business,
Mhm.
and but I was very stressed, and I had the feeling that it was just going faster and faster and faster. And when I looked ahead, I was never where I was, basically. When I
Mm.
was working, I wanted to be at home with my babies. When I was at home, I was on call most of the time and traveling a lot.
Yeah.
And I had a longing, a journey to change, but I didn't know how to.
Mm.
So life helped, basically.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I got diagnosed, and it was sudden. I had never been sick in my life, almost,
Mm.
little things, but and I wasn't feeling quite well, and it was quite impressive because it was a Monday morning. I had taken Friday off to visit a friend who was going through lots of difficulties in her life at that moment, and she was
Mm.
telling me what her difficulties were, and I kept on crying, and she said, "But why do
Wow.
you cry? Like your life is good, And I said, I don't know. So I came back. We were in the coast of Spain. It was a Monday morning, and as I took my car to drive into Madrid, where I worked,
Mm.
this really happened like this. My hands turned, and I went around this roundabout several times, and I went. It was like 8 a.m. in the morning, and I went to this village close to where I live, and I went to the healthcare center just to know, to ask for an appointment. I had
Mhm.
visited two doctors before, saying that I had. Oh, I forgot to say, sorry, because I'm not orderly, but I was doing yoga. That
You're
was,
doing yes.
yeah, I was practicing Iyengar. Do you know Iyengar?
Yes, Yangar yoga, yes.
But I had no clue. I was very much in the poses, in the posture. Perfectionism is very millimetrical. So I was
Mm.
there. But in one of the yoga postures, one day I couldn't breathe. It was
Oh.
like trying to breathe and air wouldn't come in. So I went to two doctors, and when I explained that, they will have this funny look, oh, yoga, high executive, children, anxiolytics, So they gave me
Ah.
anxiolytics, and I tried, and immediately I knew it wasn't that. It wasn't that,
Mm.
it was I couldn't breathe. There was like a barrier, something physical.
Yeah, something is
So
stopping you. Like it's actually your breathing was affected.
yeah,
Yes.
something was affecting me. But when I
Yeah.
explained this, they said, yeah, it feels like that, but it's not. It's your mind. You're very stressed, so and so. So that day, my hands, as I was saying, I turned around this roundabout. I went to this healthcare center in a very small village. I had never been there. And then the film, as I call it, or the theater play began because I
Ah,
walked in.
the movie of change, it seems like.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I walk in and there is a neighbor behind the counter. And she says, "Oh, Anna, you look very strange, like your eyes baffled." Or, "Oh, I had a
Mhm.
horrible night." I said, "I didn't know you worked here." And she said, I said, "I would really like to see a doctor." And I explain. And then the doctor comes in and she's early and there's no patients. So I just go into this.
Wow, she was able to take you on the
She
spot.
took me on the spot, which
Wow.
was just the first thing, very weird, when you say, "Am I awake?" Yeah, the first thing. So I began my story waiting for this same look, like a spark in the eye when I mentioned yoga and air not coming into. And I said to this doctor, I said, "Well, I practice yoga." And she said, "Oh, me too. What kind of yoga?" "Yeah, Iyengar." "Oh, me too." And I said, "Well, Sarvangasana." "Oh, yeah." So I couldn't breathe. "Oh, could you take your clothes off?" And that was really weird. It's like, oh. So she
Mhm,
actually touched me. She
mhm.
listened to me. She was
Mm.
listening. I was quite nervous because she kept on. And then she asked, "Are you wearing makeup?" And I said, "No." And next she said, "Well, you need to call somebody, like a family member, because I'm going to call an ambulance."
What? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
an ambulance. And I said, my car is there. I was driving into my office. I can go to whatever hospital you would like me to go with an
Mhm.
ambulance. I can drive.
Yeah, yeah.
And she said, because I had been speaking while she was palping.
Yeah, she's feeling different. Yeah.
And I was saying, "Well, my husband is in Nairobi and I live here and blah, blah, blah." And she said, "Well, you mentioned your husband is abroad and I would like you to go through a very intense checkup, many different tests. If you go on your own car, you might wait for, in Spain we have social welfare." So I was being
Uh-huh.
led to a social hospital, where
Yes.
you may wait maybe 4 hours before you are taken in,
Right. So it's
especially
public healthcare.
public healthcare,
Right,
sorry.
right, right.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. And there are many, many public healthcare hospitals in
Mm.
Madrid, but I was brought to the one I was born.
Wow.
30 years
She took you. She did bring an ambulance and ended up going to the same hospital you were.
actually.
Yeah, you didn't ask for it, but
No,
she
no,
went. Wow, that's
no.
interesting.
I actually said, she actually.
Like getting reborn in a way.
It's really weird.
Yeah.
Yes, I knew that something really different was happening that day
Mm.
in my life. Like when actually she said, "You cannot go alone in the ambulance. You need to call somebody." And I said, "Well, my children are in the. A person is minding them. My parents live in the city center, so it's impossible for them to come. I'm here alone." So I actually went alone in this ambulance, and I remember, there was this siren, nin, on in, on in, and I will knock, and say to the driver, "Please, could you stop this? I have so many calls, to do, to cancel all my meetings," because, of course, I didn't feel any sense of
Yeah.
urgency, I was on my way to work,
Yeah.
basically. So, Casting, that day, everything changed. I got to this hospital. In the ambulance, then you are put into this wheelchair, and then you go to emergency immediately
Yes, yes,
because
yes.
you came with the ambulance.
Wow.
So anyway, after a few checks, they were doing like an echography on my chest, and these social public health hospitals, they are university hospitals. So
Right.
this doctor left, and she came back with about 10 students, you know.
Oh, wow. So you're surrounded by 10
Yeah,
people.
so they are all looking, and she began saying, "Oh, necrosis tubular, mediastino, necro. I'm not a doctor, I'm an engineer." But I said, "Excuse me,
What did
are
she
you
say?
talking
Yeah.
about me? Is
What
that
was she
me?"
saying? What does that mean? What she was
Necro
saying?
means dead in Greek,
Dead?
like
Oh, wow.
necrosis, the necrosis. So I had like a little vein here, a bit pumped out. So I had a mediasthenic megalomas. So I had a lymphoma, this cancer that was blocking all, it was 10
Your
centimeters,
lung.
I don't know in inches, but they almost said when they took the oxygen in the blood, they said, how can you breathe? You know?
Wow. So the cancer is affecting your capacity to breathe and even have oxygen in your body.
Yeah,
Wow.
the subclavia, it's not a vein, it's an artery, was
Yeah.
blocked. So my lips
Wow.
were kind of blue, and this is why I was so tired. I mean, I like doing sports, but I couldn't go up the stairs without having, like a lipothermia. Like,
Oh, wow.
this is
Oh,
the way. I don't know if people are listening to me, and you go on and on and on and continue and continue and continue.
you keep going.
You keep going, yes. So they said, well, it's good you came today because, maybe you will have had how do you call this on the brain? Maybe an artery explodes or something, and then you
Yeah.
have a car crash, or because
Wow. Some aneurysm.
aneurysm, yes,
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
any other condition, not cancer. I wouldn't die immediately from cancer, but anyway, of course, how can I mean my life completely changed. I didn't leave that hospital where I was born 38 years before in the same
Wow. So it happened when you
hospital.
were 38, just boom, like life
Yeah,
literally
literally,
stopped you. Like you literally boom.
boom. I
Yeah.
didn't come back home. No, I stayed in the hospital.
Wow.
So it was like that. Now I'm 52, 53, sorry.
Mhm.
So I survived. And this is how I knew about mindfulness. I went
Mhm.
through chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and then stem cell transplant.
Yes.
The transplant. So it was during the transplant that, as it doesn't consist on an operation where you open the body. It's more
Mm.
that your stem cells are
Yeah.
taken from your own, if you have enough, and I
Right.
had enough. As I said, I was quite healthy, until then. So
Yeah.
I was lucky that way that I could use my own stem cells to reset, kind of say, my
Mm.
blood without this mutation of the lymphocytes.
Mm.
So it was during this time that I really, really, Kasim, I really wanted to leave. I think
Mm.
everyone, as all of us, and there was something that I didn't understand because the doctors, in their kindest
Yeah.
intentions, when I would ask, "What can I do?" they would say, "Nothing, just
Yeah.
normal life." They would say, "Normal life." And I would say, vida normal?
Like
But my normal life led me here. There was something in me that I wanted to know. I mean, whatever I've been doing, it's not that I was blaming myself. It's just I know something that if I don't change the conditions that led me
um,
to this moment, it's quite possible that this reproduces. I had this idea, but of course, people say, "What? She's blaming herself. Call the psychoncologist, please, because she's blaming
mm.
herself." I kept on searching, and a friend of mine gave me a book called Molecules of Emotion from
Molecules of emotions. Yeah.
Candace Pert.
Mm.
And there, I was really interested in psychoneuroimmunology because
Mm.
I knew there was a connection. Of course, when you have a cancer, people treat um, your kidneys or your liver or your whatever, but we are a whole, we are not our parts. So there had to be something. And of course, to me, I was an engineer, so it had to have a base of science, a science
Science. Yeah, it had to be
practice.
It had to be
Yes.
research based. And just for listeners who are not aware of about psychoneuroimmunology, can you say a little bit about that, just so we have an understanding? So it's linking psychology, how we are. I wonder if you can share just a little bit about it.
Yeah, it's basically like actually the thoughts we're having right now
Mm.
become something material. It might sound like magic, but it's not. There's many names for this. Like epigenetics, but
Mhm.
it's more that sometimes that you say, "Oh, I feel low," and maybe you notice a sensation of heaviness in your
Heaviness, yeah,
shoulder,
shoulders go down. I
for
feel low.
example.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what you are aware of maybe is that the kind of thoughts that you are having, like maybe worrying,
Mhm.
but something as simple as that. Or the other way around, you might be feeling very tired or hungry. You are reactive, for example.
Yes, get more irritated, agitated.
Irritated. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was looking for that
yeah,
word,
yeah,
irritation, and
yeah.
it comes from a sensation. So it's all linked, it's all in the same place. So psychoneuroimmunology is a
Mm.
science that is looking into these relations. So,
Mm.
and actually, I was very interested because I was going through a stem cell transplant to boost my immune system. So that
Right.
was it also. I wanted to know what can I do in a room where I cannot move. Well, I could do some yoga and I did, but
Yeah.
what can I do with my mind that will help my white cells grow? That was my
Mm.
search, my quest. And I knew I could sleep, I could, pray, I could think of positive things, but is there more from the science?
Ah.
That was my quest. So is there anything else?
Mm. What a beautiful quest. And I really love the question that you even began with when you asked, what are the conditions I can change? And that's something for all of us and listeners, like, wait a minute, there's things I cannot change, but is there conditions that I can influence? So you really took responsibility. You're not blaming yourself, but
No.
saying, is there something I can do to create that change? And you remind me of this. I can't remember who said it, but I love this quote about, don't let adversity be a wasted opportunity.
Wow.
Don't let adversity be a wasted opportunity. And I love that, because you face, like, actually facing death, that's adversity. And
Adversity.
it became a point of transformation for you. Like, it
Yes.
changed your career, it changed.
Everything.
But
Well,
you
not
ch-
everything.
yeah.
I kept my family, for example. I changed some friends.
Yes.
I made new friends, like you,
Yeah.
for example. Yes. No, but it is an important quest because
Mm,
each of us we know something, about um, how we are relating to our lives.
mm,
It's like, and I knew, that it wasn't sustainable. You know, as I said before, when I looked ahead, it was just faster and faster and more and more and more and more. And when I was small, if I don't know if you do this in Canada or other people from different places, but if one eyelash drops, someone sees it and they say, "Oh, ask for a wish," and
yeah, yeah.
don't tell me,
Make a wish and guess
make a
which
wish.
eyelash is on. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, for example, or if there is what is it, flying star or
yeah, yeah. Shooting star. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
shooting star?
yeah.
Yes. So sorry for my literal translation.
No, you're doing great.
I would always, I was quite a bit ashamed because my wish was always, and I can say now because I know it
Mm,
becomes true anyhow, if even if you tell, but I never had a specific, a concrete wish. It was always, I want to be happy. It's like,
mm.
and I thought I was too plain that like not more elaborate, like wanting
Yes.
something specific. No, but I wanted to be happy. And I knew deep down that this way I was living was not leading to any happiness, but
Mm,
to separation and disconnection. And now we have a science that proves, that when we feel disconnected, we are not happy. So yes. So there in this book, Molecules of Emotion,
Mm.
there was the first time ever that I read about John Kabat-Zinn's job, the Center for Mindfulness in
Mm.
Massachusetts General Hospital. So I said, wow, what is this? I mean, this is really what I'm looking for. And I had my computer there in the cell.
Research-based mindfulness? What?
Mindfulness based stress reduction. This is what I need. This is so. I looked for it, and there was a book. My first book was Coming to Our Senses. I ordered
Mm.
it from hospital.
John Kabat-Zinn's book. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that is
Ooh,
now three different books. No, now it's
yeah.
split in three, I think. Um, and really reading John's book. Oh, I mean, I cried so much because I really
Mm.
thought this person, wherever he was, I was very, very happy already and thankful to this person. I thought he was talking exactly to me, to my
Oh.
condition. So it was such a relief that somebody from ancient wisdom, but also with the scientific base, these two epistemologies merged, and this person put it in this book. And there is a program you can do. And I wrote there was something in at the Center for Mindfulness, other programs in the world. And I said, well, Spain. And there was two people offering MBSR, mindfulness based stress reduction in Spain. And one was Mexican and she wasn't available. I called,
Yeah.
at that point, I was not being I wasn't able to eat, so
Oh,
I
wow.
had parenteral food, you know. Of course, I have no hair. I had,
Mm.
how do you say, tubes, in tube.
Tubes. Yeah, yeah. Eating. Also, was feeding you tubes. You couldn't digest the food.
No,
Oh,
no,
wow.
because when you have no defenses, it's actually your own bacteria that lives in your body that take over.
Wow.
So it's so, I can tell you, I know about pain because it's so painful. And in order for these bacteria not to
Mm.
grow more, you have to change the pH of your
Yeah.
mucosa. So I had to put lemon, so it's acid, Nirvana.
Amazing.
Do you know Nirvana, the group?
Yeah, yeah. Nirvana. Yeah,
So
the group. Yeah.
I was looking, I didn't know about mindfulness, how to handle pain with mindfulness yet. So I was looking for a higher sensation than the pain. So
Yeah.
I had these big headphones
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
was playing Nirvana really high while squeezing the lemon. Then 4 hours later, chlorhexidine, more acid. 4 hours later,
Wow.
bicarbonate. So
Yes.
you're changing. Just putting this on your mouth.
Wow.
So it was very painful.
What? That's incredible. I mean, that's suffering. Like, wow. And how long was that for, that period?
Just really acute. It was maybe 1 week, and then thanks God, my white cells began growing.
Oh.
And then yeah, I mean, we are really miracles.
Mm.
So it's, one day our immune system, the natural killers are so strong, they are like Alexander the Great killers. He was a killer,
Like an army.
but an army, yeah, they are an army, and we don't realize how strong they are, and then when it goes down, we are just so vulnerable.
Yeah.
So yes. But anyway, this person, I was there calling from my mobile. I said, I want to do an MBSR, trying to speak,
Yeah.
with this pain. And this person said, well, where are you? And I said, in Madrid. And he said, oh, I'm in Barcelona. You can come 8 times. And I said, wow, if he could see me,
Oh,
because of course that wasn't a video conference.
yeah.
And he said, but if you organize a group in Madrid, I would go. And of course, I said, well, that was one more reason to leave. And of course, my first reason to leave was I wanted to leave. I
Yeah.
wanted to be with my children, with my family, with my friends, and
Mm.
with nature. Because
Ah.
there was something, some insight there that I didn't have words for. But it was like, oh, if I die now, I may have lost an opportunity to relate to nature in a different
Mm.
way that I haven't done yet. So that was there. And then I
Oh,
survived, and I had the first MBSR with family and friends. This person came from Barcelona,
you
and
organized it, and yeah.
I organized it. That was October 2008. So January 2009, there was the first MBSR, I believe, in Madrid with my family and friends.
Mm.
That's the good thing about having cancer, is that you ask your family and friends, I would like you to do an MBSR. Yes.
Yeah.
Does this make you happy? Okay.
Well, you make them do an amazing thing that probably
Yes.
has helped them as well.
Yeah.
That
One
is
became a teacher afterwards, also.
wow, that's amazing. Like
Yeah.
talk about a rippling effect, right? Like
Yeah.
you
The
had a
good
rippling
ones.
effect, good ones, but you kind of you actually chose to deal with it, right? You chose to go. I want to live,
I
and
want to
what can I do to make my situation better? What can I control? And you took actual action. Like you could have not called that mindfulness based stress reduction teacher. You could have not done these steps. You could have not read the book Molecules of Emotion. You could have not looked into coming to our senses. But like you wanted change, and that's really beautiful. Like something
I
in
wanted
you.
change.
Yeah,
Yes. And I knew change was part of the healing process. As I
yeah,
say, it just makes sense. When you have a bit of a scientific mind, you have to in order to reproduce an experiment, you just create same conditions.
yeah,
And you are increasing the probability for a
yeah.
similar result. So I
You,
wanted change.
you
And
wanted to change.
I knew it had to do with the way I related. So, when I was listening to you now, when you said you could have not done this, you could have not done that, and that, suddenly I thought right now, and maybe I would have survived also, even
Mhm,
if I had not done anything, maybe
mhm.
I would have survived also.
Yeah,
Maybe too. Maybe there is no one way. I'm saying
that's
this because
right.
maybe somebody listens to me and they think, "Oh, okay, so give me the
The
formula."
formula. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The formula. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
the
that
good
was
thing
your journey of change, and it changed the quality of your life. This specific journey, like
it
you
did.
ended up changing your work as well. Like
Oh
what
yeah,
and what led you to that? Actually, something moved deeply within you
yes,
because you could have gone back to your field.
absolutely. I did. In fact, because
Mhm.
I didn't want to be afraid. Like it's
Mm.
very easy to think also in this line of thinking. Oh, if I ever go back to corporate world, for example, I will have cancer again. I will
Um,
have a how do you call recidive? Well,
mm,
and so I went back. But what happened was that it was just, I had no interest. And I knew that I couldn't really support my team. I was so bored. My interest was completely in mindfulness, in meditation,
mm,
first for me, because we all have patterns, automatic
yeah,
patterns and tendencies. So my tendency will be to wow again, even in our job, like a stress reduction, we can have stress, we can
of course.
overdo it. But I knew that if I list I made it my way of living, I could remember more easily and forget less, because this is our
Ah,
problem. So I think we only do things for ourselves. I don't think it's selfish. It's the closest being we have in the universe, ourselves. So
uh,
sometimes, yeah.
I so love how you said this. It's so true. I mean, this is one of the so many things I love teaching as well myself. It reminds me, like
Yeah.
it makes me constantly look at myself. Like, oh, wait a minute, I got caught up in what you named earlier, which is this: do the next thing, do the next thing, do the next thing, rush, rush. I can catch myself now. It
Yes.
doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It still happens when I'm like, why am I rushing again to do seven more things? Enough. Like, but it's like the old habit that how I lived myself, which led me to my own crash in the early 2000s. It's just like rush, rush, rush. Go from here, go to the next thing, do the next thing. Never happy, always chasing something. And I'm like, what am I chasing? Like, what? life always felt is like ahead of me, like it will begin later. Life will begin later when I
Exactly.
get to this, and I was wasting so much of life. So
Exactly.
I can really, I love how you said this. It's like we practice so we can keep living life, we can keep making the most out of life and waking up to our patterns.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And actually, we keep on seeing them. It's not that you do
Mm,
it once forever, but it's true that, as you said, I catch myself earlier. I relate to it differently. I'm
mm,
not so caught up by it. Once
mm,
we see it, so this is it. We need to see it.
mm,
We need to feel it. This is not the end of story. It's
mhm,
and then when we can, yeah, this thing that many people might have heard, but it's truth. Make friends with it. Like,
mm,
befriend or make friends with it, and whatever comes out of that is the fruit of a conscious relationship. It's not automatic.
mm,
You are there, and it's every time is new. This is why
mm,
we only have 4 practices in MBSR. We don't have 25 because
mhm,
it's always the same. It's quite simple, and we are very similar. So, I mean, I would like people who hear this that are going through struggles, through illness, through loss.
mm,
The first thing is that, oh, please, if you are suffering, please don't think you have failed.
mm.
Yeah. Because I
Right.
there was the temptation to feel, oh, my body has failed me, or I have failed to myself. We go through these forgiveness processes, but it's not
Mm,
about failure. It's a necessary part of what you said, Kasim, about. It's a stage for positive change. You know,
yeah.
to suffer and realize you are suffering without abandoning yourself.
Mm,
But what I can say is that when we have big demands or crisis, whatever, however we want to call it, but at the same time we have resources. I mean,
yeah.
it could be through a book, it could be through this podcast, it could be a conversation with a friend. This combination is like, we say trampoline, it's like a
Mm,
spring,
yeah,
spring.
yeah.
And even sometimes the harder the crisis, and the higher the levels you can grow. And
Mm.
this is really truth. And I'm sure you are interviewing many people, Kasim, but it was for me.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to quickly thank you for stopping by and watching this content. It truly means the world to me that you're interested in creating positive change. I also want to invite you to join our amazing community. I have free events online about mindfulness, mindfulness based stress reduction, laughter, as well as retreats that you can do from the comfort of your own home. And are you ready for this? Self paced program that you can do about mindfulness and stress reduction. So you can join the newsletter below to stay up to date on all these goodies. And if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and press that button. It really helps me to keep this content going and reach out to more guests. Thank you so much again, and may you continue enjoying watching this episode. I love that visual, like a trampoline.
Yes.
Like we're using it, like using that energy to rise up, losing that energy to rise up. It's like bouncing off, and that is that's resilience. Like that's the definition of resilience, is kind of coming back from adversity. I love that visual, so thank you for sharing it. This trampoline bouncing up, I love it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
One of the things you have, and you do so many things. Yeah, and I love, like, when I looked up preparing for this
But
conversation.
one after the other.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Now I'm
well
sitting
paced.
here.
Yeah, well paced.
Mm.
About stress,
Mm.
good stress and not good stress. On one of your websites called Eustress, and I'll put the
Yes.
link below. Yeah. Um, what is the difference between good stress and bad stress?
Right. Yeah. I love. You talk about sea miles, imagery, the trampoline, and I'm going to speak about this because this is what inspired me to use the butterfly. Once
Mm,
for once is that EU stress. These are the wings of the butterfly. You know the
mm.
E and the three. Well,
Which
this
is
is
the name of your the website that you have.
right.
EU3, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It could take a little bit longer to explain, but
Mm,
I think it was to John Kabat-Zinn that I heard this the first time. Probably in Mindfulness for Beginners. He had some audios that I heard, I think, 500 times or something. But when he was talking about the attitudinal foundations
mm,
um, for the practice of mindfulness, one was patience, right?
mm.
One is patience. And you know the chrysalis? Is it
The,
chrysalis of the
the Chris
butterfly?
of like the transformation of the butterfly.
Yeah, exactly. So first is a larva, like a
Yes.
worm, no? And then he makes the chrysalis. Chrysalis is it?
Oh, I forgot what it's called myself too.
All
But
right.
yeah, I know. Yeah.
Well, it looks like a cotton wood or something, right?
Yes. Yes.
But actually, this cotton wood, this chrysalis, I believe it's called in Spanish is chrysalida. So this is
Yeah.
why I say chrysalis. It's probably Greek or something, and it's quite hard. It's difficult to break
Mm,
for the butterfly, right? So the image is that an innocent boy or a person or a child, sorry, not a boy or a girl,
mm.
might want to help the butterfly, and break the
Ah,
chrysalis to help. But actually, the going through of the wings, there are some fluids that go from the chrysalis into the wings of the butterfly, which
yeah.
are absolutely necessary for it to soar. If we help it, then it won't be able to fly.
If we break that hard part, it's not going to be able to
It's not.
form. The formation won't happen.
The formation, the
Mm.
strength that the wings need to fly, it won't be there. So yeah, we when we suffer, we sometimes wish someone, like whoever, just help us or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely necessary. I'm talking about this because you talk about bad stress and good stress.
Mm,
So the bad stress, we could say that is the stress that prevents us from looking at the obstacles, from looking at and seeing clearly our resources. So it's a stress that actually
mm,
increases the suffering while, and this is really strange, if I say that there is a stress that, or a suffering that is good suffering. Yes, but
mm.
there is and I think everyone who can listen to this podcast will have a moment in their lives where it
Yeah.
was difficult, but they felt they would never remove this from who they are, from their lives, because thanks to
Mm.
that, they could see their beauty, they could see their strength, or they could develop it through these moments. So it's
Yeah.
going through this whole of the chrysalis, which is hard and absolutely necessary for us to be able to fly. And so it's building resources. Eustress is
Mm.
the stress that helps us overcome the normal obstacles of life. We always say, as MBSR teachers, we always tell people, I'm very happy you came to this stress reduction course. It doesn't matter how many you do or how much you meditate, you will never remove stress of your life,
Right.
right? Which is good because
Yeah.
the idea is to be able to fly and soar and see the world.
I love the description of this change because it's saying it's not like my life would be better when stress is over. When all my stress is gone, when I eliminate every possible stressor in life, then I'll be okay. It's actually back to what you said earlier, is how do I relate to it? How do I work with it? And when is the stress just enough so I can change? It's like that saying of pressure makes diamonds,
Oh,
right?
yes,
Yeah,
that's right. The
you need
carbon.
pressure. Yeah, but how do we, from what you've experienced yourself and all the people you work with, how can listeners know when their regular stress has turned into bad stress?
Mm.
And I guess like there's no one answer, I know, but what
Right.
would you say? When do
Right.
we know?
Actually, I think all of us go through this even daily,
Yeah.
like there's moments where we say, no, it's enough. I just can't anymore. And then we need to stop. We
Yeah.
need to just breathe, like there's one thing as MBSR teachers, honoring this lineage from John Kabat-Zinn, we repeat in every program, which is in class one. We say to people, it doesn't matter how much, I mean, it doesn't matter, I don't know exactly in English because now
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have it in Spanish, but no matter how much you are suffering, how much is bad in you or in your life, as long as you are breathing, there's more good in you than bad. You know, so just gathering all the energy we have to just take one breath, and we
Yeah.
are alive, and it's okay. It could be enough to
Yeah.
just transit to the next moment and see, right? So when you ask what's the difference between the when is it enough, it's very personal, very,
Yeah.
very personal. If it was as simple as taking the list of stressors
Yeah.
that are too much for all of us, like for some of us, we say, oh, speaking in public, but some people would not take a job unless they are exposed,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
public.
So it's
And
different.
we are
But
different.
but you know how you're saying it too means we need to be tuned in and aware. And that's
Exactly.
what mindfulness really helps us is tuning into ourselves, tuning into our thoughts, our emotions, how we're living in the day. So we're aware rather than automatic more. You remind me actually the first time that I read it, and it's kind of like it stopped me in my tracks. It was John Kabat-Zinn's book, Full Catastrophe Living, and he said something about like I have to catch myself, and it's like one more thing I got to do, one more email, and I thought that's how I live my life
Yes.
constantly. Let me squeeze one more thing. We don't want, and sometimes we need to. It's
Yes.
like a deadline, or I got to do these two more things. But then it's become a habit when it's
That's
constantly like my engine, if we use that metaphor, is high, boo, revving high, 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 and that leads to breakdown. And that's what happened to me. That's what led me, as I was saying, to my path, like breakdown. So
right.
I love how you thank you for bringing that. Is like, let's be aware of when it's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough. That's how we know when stress is turning bad. Like we're just caught and caught and caught.
Yes, no, but
Yeah.
I really like what you said is key. This coming back. I love the title of this first book, "Coming to Our Senses." It's just coming to our senses. Where are my feet? You know, uh, where is my stomach? What is my body? What is? I
Mm.
mean, we don't need to use what is their body?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's another story for another chapter. The my me my I me mine, and this is it.
Yeah.
But it's coming out of the autopilot, which is key because
Mm.
when we are in autopilot, we have amazing capacity to do many things at the same time, and
Yeah.
we should. It's not that we have to learn everything anew every day.
We
Uh,
need it. Yeah.
we need it, but there is, I think, a way to do even multitasking. Somebody say, "Oh, no, you shouldn't multitask." No, no, wait. Sometimes we have to multitask.
Yeah.
But can we do it with an awareness of what is the cost, for example, right?
Mm.
So if I add now one more task, for example, now I'm only talking to you. My screen is only Kasim, right?
Yes.
If now I wanted to, I don't know, I'm just going to, while you talk, maybe just check if I have an email that I was waiting for,
Yes. Yes.
So doing this in an autopilot way would be just, my habit is to multitask and I just do it. Being
Yeah.
aware of the cost would be, well, if I do this, I will not, I will lose connection with Kasim, for example, and this is
Mm.
not what I want to do. So now my decision is like, no. But for example, now I have itchy. My leg is itchy. I can scratch and look at you. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good example, but what I mean is that, some people say, hey, we cannot just do one thing at a time. There is sometimes where I have
Yeah.
to cook. And while it's cooking, I need to write emails, and there is the washing machine on. Now that way, many of us work from home, and this is perfectly okay. Please don't wait
Yeah.
3 hours until the stew is
It's
finished.
done.
No, it's just about, hey, what's the cost of adding this new activity?
More things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a yes, and sometimes it's a no. If a person is telling you about something that is dearly, that is important, there's nothing else you can do, for example,
Yeah.
because you may harm, like it's just about living more deliberately. I remember this
Mm.
Thoreau, right? He went to
Yeah.
the woods, and here comes nature.
Yeah, here comes nature. That's right. So something about deliberate living, intentional. And when you're saying about this multitasking, we do a lot of task switching, which people confuse with multitasking. Like,
All right.
right? Like it could be now writing, now it could be with you. So
Yeah.
it's task switching. But the problem, as you're saying, is it's automatic.
Yes.
And mindfulness, which really, just being aware, being present, is saying, is this what I want to do intentionally? And then I do it rather than just habit. And
Yeah.
not all habits are good. Yeah.
Right. A lot of habits are good.
Yeah. You mentioned nature. I wonder if we can explore a little bit about the role of nature in healing.
Mm.
And
Oh, this is so beautiful because,
mm,
even during the confinement of the COVID,
mm,
um, when many of us, we couldn't leave home, but I think some people, and we did some podcasts also to urge people to connect to nature, in different
mm,
ways. Like, for example, water is nature, and
mm,
we when we have shower, we can connect with the water element, or the sun going through a window. I'm also speaking about people who may hear us from a hospital, as I was 5 weeks or 6 weeks in a place where you cannot even open a window. But
right.
those elements are always available outside and inside, so this thing that we
Mm,
may have heard before, that we are nature, of course, but can we actualize it? Can we feel these elements? This can be done during meditation, and then when conditions are better, like if you can, this week, today is Friday, and during the weekend, just go to nature and really
mm.
connect as nature, so from nature to nature.
Ah, so we're part of nature then, how you're saying it. Like we have natural elements in us and we connect to the nature that's outside, whether it's
Yes.
walking in a garden or walking in a neighborhood, walking
Yes,
a
and even if
forest.
you cannot leave, you may have a plant and or a
Yeah.
flower. You can touch the earth. You can put
Mm,
put your hands on water, or feeling the sun or the light. This is the fire element. Just the
mm,
breath is the air element. So just I am intentionally connect, and just see for yourself what effect
mm,
that has. And another thing is about, where, as I say, when conditions are better, if we can go to a park or to a bigger. I live in front of the mountain, so I'm
yes,
quite.
yes.
Yes.
Me too. I'm near mountains.
You,
Yeah.
you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, then many people have a park close.
Yeah.
So something that I remember, that I said that there was one thing, that when you face the possibility to die too early, uh, you say, wow, I regret not having done this, right? So
Mm.
I had something that was, I regret not having connected more directly with nature.
Oh.
So that was something, that was a seed that was planted. This is why when we have a big crisis, be very aware, write it down.
Yeah.
Whatever comes is very pure, because we are not afraid to dream, when we face death, the possibility to go. It's like,
Yeah.
the things that emerge in that moment are very, probably very, very close to values to who you
Yeah.
are really, then we get very confused with many things. But in those moments, it's very much whatever comes up is probably going to make you very happy if you investigate it later. Or
Mm.
so that happened to me at least.
It's so healing, so interesting. So you connected to writing, reflecting, being aware of what's coming up, but also going out to nature,
Yes.
however it is. And you really took me back to, for me, going through losses.
Yeah.
And one of the earlier losses that I had, and um, really going in nature. I do a lot of hikes and
Mm,
nature, and just grieving in the forest. I just remember, like, it somehow gave me permission just to, like, weep. you know and it doesn't mean everyone has to do that. Like, if you grieve,
no.
go to. But for me, I really, like, something intuitively, like, no one said go walk in nature. I was like, I need to be out in the forest. And same thing happened when I lost my grandmother, and
Right.
my father,
Yeah.
all these. Yeah, so healing.
So healing, and it's available. As
Yeah.
I said, I live in front of mountains. Sometimes I go, I don't know, on weekdays, So one of the good things about this, not being in the corporate world, is that you can manage a little bit your agenda. So you
Yeah,
may
yeah.
work on a Sunday or on weekends, but then on a Monday or on a Tuesday, you are free.
Yes.
And then you may go to nature, and then you are alone, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I would ask people to go anyhow to nature, unless you live in the Netherlands, where they are all, massive. There's many people, but in places like, of course, Canada, in North America, the
Yeah.
nature is so amazing, so big, so
Yeah.
generous. And I am always amazed that, for example, in Spain, we have a very high level of unemployment, right? So there's many
Mm.
people in their homes with no jobs. So when I go to nature, I would expect it to be full, packed with people, enjoying this beauty and these rivers and climbing, and I'm alone. There's no
You're
one
like,
there.
Where is everybody?"
They're in front of screens.
Yeah.
Many people, So if you only bring your body, because this is the hardest part that we have
Yeah.
physicality, you may dream from home, oh, if I went to the peak or to the no, you have to actually bring your body.
You got to take your body there.
And this is it, because then nature does it all.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there is a resonance of your inner nature with outer nature. And if you dare to go alone, there's something that happens with language that separates us from nature, right? When we
Mm.
name, you see a bird and you think, oh, this is a bluebird. But if instead of that, you just see it, see movement, feel movement, or you just smell trees, or you just touch, um, be touched, and allow nature to know you. And
Mm.
actually, my recommendation, if I may, that this came from a teacher, a shaman and a teacher
Mm.
from Colorado, who taught me how to relate in nature.
Mm.
He proposed that we may have like three special places in nature.
Mm.
One which is very, very handy, that we can visit every day, and it could be like in your garden if you have a garden, or in the balcony, or a plant,
Mm.
or, as I said, some natural, something that relates to nature. And you
Yes.
just pay homage to it every day, just
Yeah.
a few moments, just connect every day. Then
Mm.
another one that you visit weekly. That could be that it takes you maybe half an hour to go, and you go on Friday or Saturday, Sunday, but you choose a place, or you allow the place to choose you,
Mm.
like a
Beautiful.
friend. So you build a relationship to the place. To build a relationship, you need to go to see how it smells, to smell it, to s- to understand it, how the sun rises, how it sets.
Mm.
Just be curious. Like, if you and I wanted to know more of each other, we have to spend time together. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then maybe one day you go and sleep there,
Mm.
and maybe one day you eat there. And it's It's such a,
Huh.
as what you said before about grieving, or about sometimes we need a refuge, and it could be your special place, and
Yeah.
then we can have another place that we go maybe once a year, that maybe I don't know, far from you, and you spend days or do a retreat in nature. So
Mm.
yeah, that's
How beautiful is that? The different ways of connecting to nature. And, is this one of the things you offer in the way,
of
what
nature.
way you have nature? So just for, and I know it's, this is in Spain, but, everyone can benefit from the idea. So I'm wondering, what is it that you're offering there, ways of nature? So is it like
Yes.
a retreat in nature or?
Yeah, well, I haven't so far. I have to say that it's not that I'm a slow learner, but it takes big responsibility to bring people, because actually, there is one of the empowerments of being in nature is
Mm,
solitude in nature. So there is
yeah.
a moment when you have to ask people to split and be alone.
Be alone. Yeah.
So I have only done one of those retreats when I brought my teacher from Colorado to Spain,
Mm,
and then we did bivouac, meaning that sleeping under the stars with no tent,
mm,
and then I do just shorter, like nature quests. So we actually go into nature, and um, there is a moment when we walk together in silence, and we choose, for
mm,
example, one sense. We heighten or bring it to the forefront. For example, just
mm,
seeing. It's not that we don't hear or smell or touch while we put it in the forefront, but just so it's really like as you walk, just pure seeing. You may notice
mm.
that your mind is also creating a narrative about what you see, but
Mhm.
you also put it to the background. So there is a little bit of meditation. So we need to have
Right.
attentional regulation in order to do that. So we
Mm,
do a circle, we introduce ourselves, we meditate sitting, and then we start meditating as we walk, choosing a sense to put it in the forefront, different senses. And then there is a moment where people have to split and
mm,
intuitively find a place that calls them or they are called to, and then sit or walk or move. And it's just very, very simple, Kasim. But
ah,
when people come back, there is something very sincere and very
mm,
authentic in nature. And the one time that I brought people and they slept all night alone, because
mm.
we have these fears, and but they are in the. There's so many films we've seen, that so
Yeah,
many
bad things. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, especially with our other human beings, someone have seen you, and there is this
Mm.
feeling they come and blah, do something, or
Yes.
animals. So, but in fact, nothing happens. Well, we have to
Mm.
be safe also, but
Of course, of course.
yeah, and I'm still learning. I like to do joint ventures with other people who know more, like other people in Europe who also have, for example, Way of Nature in the Netherlands, and then this other woman and
Collaborate.
I. Yeah, I think it's quite a responsibility to actually dare to ask people to
Yes.
go alone in nature. But yeah, one thing that people say when they come back, some really the testimonies are really like going to
Mm.
the the bone marrow. Like some people may say, well, last
Yes.
night I felt I could have died and it would be okay. Things
Yeah.
like that.
Like this deep, deep at ease, peacefulness, this
Yes,
content. Yeah. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. How beautiful.
Yeah, so I actually think nature is going to help us just connect with our true nature, and these spiritual practices that we can do alone or in a retreat center
Mm.
or in a center, with others, when we can allow nature to help us.
Mm.
This is it, allow the trees. We feel so separate, but the healing part of nature is that when we go in silence, suddenly we realize that this out breath that is so common, so close to
Mm,
me, is the in breath for this tree that is sitting.
yeah.
And he's present, it's present, this oxygen is what I need to breathe in.
Yeah.
And as you sit and ponder upon it, not from here, from the whole body and mind and
Yeah.
heart, suddenly you notice that we're not separate. So
Mm.
sorry, I'm talking too much. No.
Well, it's all about connection, like this healing. It's beautiful. Like you, just want to go walk in nature now. So I love
Yes.
that.
Uh-uh.
And who knows? I know we might have something in nature together here. You're always welcome to come to North America.
Wow.
Who knows? There's so many places here, and the province that I'm in Canada, just beautiful. It's actually the name. It's on the license plate. It's beautiful British Columbia.
Oh,
Because
let me
really it's just
see.
beautiful nature and lakes and so this is feeling like a promo for the province that I'm in, but Canada is beautiful, a lot of nature, and the province that I'm in is really very beautiful. But who knows,
Oh,
maybe one day.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
please.
Open-ended forever invitation to you.
Wow.
If you're ever
No.
on this side, would love to be in nature with you, so
Yes,
I'll
yes.
put it
And
out there.
trust that nature will hold us.
Yes, absolutely.
And thank you for sharing about your grieving and how
Mm.
nature allowed the space for you to feel such an intensity
Yes, and be held. Like
and
there's
be
something
held.
about nature.
Yes.
Be held and let it be okay. And it's like it felt like I was walking near a river. It felt like the river was just taking some of my sorrow. It's just something very,
Oh, yes.
very. And how you said it's like it's embodied. It's not cognitive. It's not like now I'm gonna let go of
No.
my grief. On this, like no, it was felt in my body. It's
Yes.
deeply healing. Well, I tell you, you used this metaphor earlier on about trampoline and like the energy of bouncing up. I
Mm.
really feel like I've been on a trampoline with you. Just so playful, so enjoyable. I feel so energized,
Mhm.
and it really, we can go like. There's so many more things I want to explore with you, but I know we're at the end for today. So I'm wondering, how can people reach you? What's the best way they want to learn about your work? I know you have a couple of websites I'll put in the show notes, but is there something specific you wanting listeners to know about where they can find you?
Oh, no, through email or LinkedIn. Yeah, the
Yes.
webpage. Yes, through
Yes.
you, or maybe through us doing something together.
Yes, exactly. Well, I'll put all your websites, social media,
Oh,
LinkedIn in
thanks.
the show notes so everyone can reach it. Any final thoughts before we end for today
Mm.
for listeners?
Please, if you, again, if you are suffering now, please don't feel you failed. Please don't be desperate, and maybe just take one breath at a time, and see if there is call for resources.
Mm.
There is resources within you, or if not, please call for them, because this might be the trampoline that is uplifting to you. Reach out for help, and trust. We have everything inside of us, and we are
Mm.
never separate. So yeah, I don't know. I feel very, very grateful, and I also feel that as we talked, energy has aroused. Ooh.
Yeah, Rose, yes, yes. I really deeply feel that. And I really want to thank you for your beautiful heart, your beautiful being, how you have chosen to live life and really walking the talk. You're someone who walks the talk. And I'm a better person for knowing you. I really want to thank you for everything you do, everything you're about, and for your graciousness. You're so gracious, humble, kind.
Oh my God,
It's
Kasim.
really, it really is such a treat to have this conversation.
Mm.
I just want to thank you, truly, deep bows to you and everything you do, and I look forward to having more conversations, whether on podcasts, off podcasts. But really, I want to thank you for joining us today.
And to you for your generous heart, for your kindness and friendship, and for this moment to get to know each other better. And
Mm,
I hope your beautiful podcast reaches many, many hearts, so we feel we what we really are. We are together in this. So
yeah, we're not alone.
Not alone. No
Not
estamos
alone.
solos. No estamos
Not so
solos. No,
beautiful.
no.
Well, thank you so much again. And I want to thank all the listeners for listening. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. I want to wish everyone, may your moments be filled with ease and may you be present in as many of them.
Mm.
Thank you. Hello there, and thank you so much for stopping by this channel. I hope you find this content useful, and if you do, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It will really help me to reach to more people and keep this content going. Here we are journeying together, and let's see where this takes us.